Whether we're working on-prem or online, we always have to be concerned about protecting our data. So what we're going to do in this module is talk about security considerations and configurations and the tools that we have available to us for managing those configurations. And now when I'm referring to securing our content, I'm not talking about just making sure no one accesses the content. I'm also talking about internal users deleting that content in the event that we have a litigation process where we have to keep that content for a period of time. So we're going to look at DLP, or data loss prevention. We're going to look at legal holds and eDiscovery and where we manage that, as well as taking the Security and Compliance Center for a test drive so you know where to find these tools to manage the DLP, the legal holds, and eDiscovery. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at DLP, or data loss prevention. We can create a DLP policy to specify restrictions on what can happen with data. Remember, with DLP up in the Office 365 space, we can create a DLP policy at the higher level, allowing us to not only use it in Exchange, but also in SharePoint or OneDrive for Business. And that's where we're going to want to do that. We're also going to be concerned about identifying, monitoring, and protecting our sensitive information, not manually, but automatically. So we want to look at that using DLP, specifically a DLP policy. This protected information would include credit card numbers, social security numbers, and even health records. Most often, these numbers have a specific format. We're going to use that format. For instance, the social security number has 3 digits, dash 2 digits, dash 4 digits. So I can have a policy looking for this formatted data to help ensure the content isn't being shared externally. This DLP is supported by Office products across Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Business, as we talked about. And that's the power of creating a DLP policy at the upper level versus within a particular service provided by Office 365. We can also use reports and monitor those reports provided by DLP to see what the heck's going on within our system regarding this sensitive information, like our credit card numbers, social security numbers, and health records. So DLP provides that. Specifically, we're going to use policies to do so. In addition to DLP, we also need to worry about legal holds and eDiscovery. A legal hold is when we have decided that we have to preserve content in a mailbox or in a SharePoint list or library. So we're going to place a user mailbox on hold to preserve that content as it is on a specific date. So if it does end up in court, we have the content based on the date the legal action took place. We can use query-based searches to locate and retain data, and this is part of our eDiscovery as well. We can preserve items for specific time periods or indefinitely for that matter. You've seen our legal cases. Some of them can take years for them to complete. So we have the option of preserving it for a particular amount of time, 3, 4, 5 years, or an indefinite amount of time. We can keep these holds transparent from users without suspending what's called the MRM, the Messaging Records Management. We can suspend the auto deletion of content without this even being visible to our users. We can enable in-place eDiscovery searches of these on-hold items. So we can perform searches of this content that's been placed on hold, transparent to the users, and locate this content and generate reports on this content as well. So these are a couple of the components available to us within Exchange Online. Now, this is managed primarily through the Security and Compliance Center. And to begin with, it's accessed via the Office 365 Admin Center, or you can type in protection.office.com, and that'll bring you in specifically to the Security and Compliance Center, of course, after you've supplied your credentials. As far as security is concerned, to be able to access this Compliance Center, you need to be a member of the Global Admins Group, or we can assign you to a specific role called the Security and Compliance Center role. And that gives you permissions within that role without giving you full-blown global admins permissions, which gives you permissions to do anything you want inside of Office 365. So it's a way to restrict the permissions to the Security and Compliance Center without giving someone full party rights. And as you'll see, we have several features available within a single location to manage our DLP, our compliance, the auditing, and even locating the content that's been placed on hold. So the Security and Compliance Center is going to be our one-stop shopping for these security and compliance options specific to Exchange Online.